Europe is a thought that needs to become a feeling. Because when Americans talk about their United States, they get all misty-eyed and emotional. I mean, even Irish people get misty-eyed and emotional talking about the United States. Why? Do we get emotional and misty-eyed when we think about Europe? And if not, why not? There are 54 countries on the continent of Africa, and the people who live in them call themselves Africans. How many of us call ourselves Europeans? You know, I think more of us would if we were united not just by bonds of interest, but by bonds of affection. If we cared more about each other, understood each other's pain, would we do something more to help each other? For example, when you see young people, nearly a quarter of them out of work, fighting for their economic future, what happens? Yes, you guys discuss what happens. You've got Prime Minister Rajoy just this week urging the EU to make structural reforms that will create liquidity in the Spanish economy. Maybe you will. But beyond that, where's the family's response? Where's our Europe-wide campaign to spotlight Spain, to encourage others to take their holidays there, to buy Spanish goods, listen to Spanish music, have U2 make a flamenco album? Maybe not. Maybe not. You know what I'm talking about? Neighborliness. I can tell you what we do in Ireland. There's a word, mehel. Mehel. Is that the correct pronunciation? Mehel. It means the group, the village, help one another out, and they help most when the work is hardest. In my experience, most Europeans are like that. We discover who we are in service to our neighbours. Chancellor Merkel, you said in 2007, we do not really need to give a soul to Europe, it already has one. Well, Chancellor, I agree, and maybe you agree that we sometimes find it tough to show that soul. I'd argue that the soul of Europe is most visible when we're facing outward. When we're facing inward, we're Irish, you're German, you're French, you're them, we're us. Of course, we're not always going to agree. That's democracy. But facing outward, that's when we become one. That's when we're Europe. Manly Europe, in a gender-neutral kind of way. Manly Europe in leather, pointy leather, Spanish leather, pointy Italian shoes, English tailored suit, French shirt, driving a German car with an Irish sense of the rules of the road. So, to close, actual community or bollocks community? Real neighbourliness or people bound together by red tape speaking Eurobabble? Does this sound soft to you, Irish blarney to you? Because it's not. It's hard, and you know it's hard. It's hard in concept, and it's even harder in execution. Let us remember where the idea of one Europe really came from. It is prescient this afternoon to do so. What Winston Churchill in 1946 called the tragedy of Europe, the alternative, he said, to tearing each other to pieces was to recreate the European family, or as much of it as we can, and provide it with a structure under which it can dwell in peace, in safety, and in freedom. Churchill's words. Aren't those still the stakes this afternoon? And are we not seeing the rise of extreme nationalism again? Not the kind of nationalism of, I'm proud to be Irish, which I am, but you know the kind of nationalism I'm talking about, the ugly kind, the primal hate, especially when times are tough. We see Europeans turning against immigrants, migrants. We see people turning against Roma, searching for scapegoats. Sometimes it's a Jewish scapegoat, sometimes it's a Roma, sometimes it's African, sometimes it's gay. Nationalism, extreme nationalism, isn't choosy. It's an equal opportunity hater, and it's not welcome. And make no mistake, its real victim is the idea of Europe, the idea behind Europe, because nationalism like this depends on the idea of purity, and Europe depends on this idea of plurality. I want to argue that Europe can't just be a logical alternative to nationalism. It must become an impassioned one, an affair of the heart as well as the head. Our plurality needs to show itself with purpose, like that Gaelic word, miha.